So, all right, so I've got my idea, I've got my books, I'm ready to start writing, but I don't have the software to do it. All right, you can't write a screenplay in Word, I'm sorry. Well, technically you can, but I wouldn't advise it. There's a bunch of other software solutions out there for both the Mac, PC, and Linux that are much better than Microsoft Word. First I'm going to talk about is Final Draft. That's pretty much the industry standard for screenwriting software. That's what I use, although it can be expensive. I paid for my copy a couple years ago, and I'm glad I don't have to buy it again because I think it retails for like $200, $250 bucks. You might be able to find copies online for cheaper. I don't know what the new one retails for, but it's not cheap. Another industry standard software is Movie Magic Screenwriter. Final Draft and Movie Magic Screenwriter have tools that separate the two of them. I think Final Draft is a little easier to start into. I also know a lot more writers who use it, so I have people to ask questions on. But you can't really go wrong with either of those. I think the learning curve on Movie Magic Screenwriter is a little rougher. I've played around with the trial version of the software and I didn't like it as much as Final Draft, but it's by no means a bad piece of software. So if you're going to only get one of two, get one of those. Get Final Draft or Movie Magic Screenwriter. You can't really go wrong. Now, there's another little guy who's just below the two of them, which is a pretty good piece of software as well, and that's called Montage. If you go to Montage's website, I'm going to include links to the titles of the books and all the software on the, let's see here, the comment section, or not the comment, the little info section of this post, and on my blog post, so check that out. Anyway, Montage is like the JV team who's really trying really hard to get picked up for varsity. It's a pretty solid piece of software. I've used the trial version and I liked it a lot. It's cheaper than Final Draft and Movie Magic Screenwriter. It's not as widely used, but for an educational standpoint, I think it's pretty good. But let's say, hey Steve, I don't have any money. How can I get started? You said don't use Word, but I don't have the money to shell out for this. There's one more solution for you, and it's a software called Celtx. Celtx.com. This is available for Mac, PC, Linux. It's open source, I think. If not, it's definitely freeware. It doesn't cost anything. Now, it's not as great as the big leaders, but for something that's free, something you want to write your first screenplay with without shelling out a bunch of dough because you're like, hey, I already paid 20 bucks for some books. This is a great piece of software to get started with. It's free. It's going to give you the same type of mechanics and structure as Final Draft, Movie Magic Screenwriter, and Montage, but without the cost. Now, it's not as good. Some of the formatting can be a little off on occasion. But if you want to write something for free and you want to see if, hey, I like this, you want to try out screenwriting without throwing down a lot of dough, maybe you won't like it at all. Maybe you'll have no fun in it. And you won't be out a couple $100 bucks. It's free. So check that out as well. All right, so I've got my idea. I've got my books. I've educated myself. I understand screenwriting theory. I've got my software. What's the next step? Write. Just sit down and do it. Anybody who tells you you can't write a screenplay in like 3 days is full of shit. I've done it. It was horrible. It's my first screenplay I ever wrote. But I did it. Came in at 135 pages. Absolutely terrible. Terrible. But the point is, you're not going to write a great screenplay. You just need to write that first screenplay. And once you get done, once you get to that final page and you put fade out at the end, it's a wonderful feeling. It's a wonderful feeling because you've done it. That blank, nothing is more intimidating than that blank page staring back at you on your computer screen. It is just one of the most intimidating things possible, which is why books like the Screenwriter's Workbook and Writing the Picture are handy because they will give you exercises that can introduce you and get you started, little baby steps in writing that. Screenwriter's Workbook gives you 10 pages at a time to write. It breaks down each act into mini parts, so you can write that little part at a time. So it's not as intimidating. You don't have to worry about banging out 120 pages. You can just sit down and you can write. But just don't worry about it. Don't worry about being good because that's not the point. When you write a screenplay, you're going to appreciate movies a lot more. You're going to look at movies more critically. You're going to enjoy film a lot more because you're going to understand what goes into making a film and what goes into writing a film that you didn't before. It's going to open your eyes up to a whole bunch of new thoughts, new ideas, a new viewpoint to movies and film. And more than anything, it's just really enriched my interest in movies and entertainment in general. That's what screenwriting has really given to me, which is why I encourage anybody who's got an idea to do it. For every person like me, there's 1,000 in Los Angeles that are unemployed and trying to break into screenwriting. And so I know it's probably not going to happen for me, but that doesn't mean I can't write, you know. One day I'll submit some stuff, you know, when I'm ready or it's good or I'm confident, but I don't need to, you know. That's the benefit of an amateur writer. I have a real job, I make a good living, I work from home on Wednesdays like today. You know, I got a good life, so I do this as a hobby, and I really, really enjoy it. And you can enjoy it too. You can enjoy it. You can have a lot of fun too. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. Once you realize you don't need to worry about a paycheck, you don't need to worry about making a living off this. You know, if you want to do that, that's great. You know, if you're going to school for it, phenomenal. But if you're just a regular person who's always wondered about writing a screenplay, do it. Do it. There's nothing stopping you. There's no negative to doing it. You're going to learn so much about movies that even if you never finish your first draft, even if you never finish your screenplay, you're going to come away with it with a lot of stuff you didn't know before, and you're going to be educated on movies in a way you weren't before. So I can't say enough good things about writing, or just even writing in general, whether it's a blog or a short film or a short story or whatever. You know, just write. People have been writing in the world for thousands of years, and there's a reason, because it's enjoyable. You know, people enjoy it. People like telling and reading and hearing stories. So take that for what you will. This is Steve from myothercareer.wordpress.com. Like I said, I'll put links and go over books and software and have all that stuff on the blog and in the more info section on my YouTube channel. So until next time, keep writing.